James in a mess. Toby and Henrietta take the workmen to the quarry every morning. At the junction they often meet James. Toby and Henrietta were shabby when they first came and needed new paint. James was very rude. "Ooh, what dirty objects," he would say. At last Toby lost patience. "James," he asked, "why are you red?" "I am a splendid engine," answered James loftily. "Ready for anything. You never see my paint dirty." "Oh," said Toby innocently, "that's why you once needed bootlaces, to be ready, I suppose." James went redder than ever and snorted off. At the end of the line, James left his coaches and got ready for his next train. It was a slow freight, stopping at every station to pick up and set down cars. James hated slow freight trains. "Dirty cars from dirty sidings. Ugh," he grumbled. Starting with only a few, he picked up more and more cars at each station, till he had a long train. At first the freight cars behaved well, but James bumped them so crossly that they were determined to get back at him. Presently, rumbling over the viaduct, they approached the top of Gordon's Hill. Heavy freight trains halt here to set their brakes. James had had an accident with cars before, and should have remembered this. "Wait, James, wait," said his driver, but James wouldn't wait. He was too busy thinking what he would say to Toby when they next met. Too late, he saw where he was and tried to stop. "Hurrah, hurrah," laughed the freight cars, and banging their buffers, they pushed him down the hill. The conductor tightened his brakes until they screamed. On, yelled the cars. I've got to stop, groaned James. And setting his brakes, he managed to check the freight car's mad rush, but they were still going much too fast to stop in time. Through the station they thundered and lurched into the yard. James shut his eyes. There was a bursting crash, and something sticky splashed all over him. He had run into 2 tar wagons, and was black from smokebox to cab. James is more dirty than hurt, but the tar wagons and some cars were broken to pieces. The breakdown gang was in the yard, and they soon tidied up the mess. Toby and Percy were sent to help, and came as quickly as they could. "Look here, Percy," exclaimed Toby. "Whatever is that dirty object?" "That's James, didn't you know?" "Well, it's James's shape," said Toby thoughtfully, "but James is a splendid red engine, and you never see his paint dirty." James shut his eyes and pretended he hadn't heard. They cleared away the unhurt freight cars and helped James home. Sir Topham Hatt met them. "Well done, Percy and Toby," he said. He turned to James. "Fancy letting your cars run away. I am surprised. You're not fit to be seen. You must be cleaned at once. Toby shall have a new coat of paint. Chocolate and blue, I think. Please, sir, can Henrietta have one too?" "Certainly, Toby." He smiled. "She shall have brown and like Annie and Clarabelle." "Oh, thank you, sir. She will be pleased." Toby ran home happily to tell her the good news.